Hi everyone, welcome to School of Scarlet. Today I have another message for you. So this message has been coming through since last night. It first came through an analogy or metaphor of a radio, and it's kind of changed a little bit as I came to sit down. So I'm going to share this with you. It's really a message of the heart wanting to speak about connection, about oneness, about unity. So oftentimes you might see me respond to a comment and say that there's no separation, and some people don't really understand what that means. So that's what this message is coming through to kind of share with you, the unity of what no separation really is. There is an experience of living here on earth and not experiencing a separation with other beings, with the earth, with anything in this universe. Everything kind of merges together in unity. And so I've talked about this a long time ago in my past. You can go back and watch some of my videos. I have a lot of educational videos here at School of Scarlet, so you can go and check those playlists out, and they really go into detail on some of these things. So go check that out if you're interested. But for this message, it's going to come through in a very kind of simple way for you to understand what the whole thing is between the heart and the mind. So, one of the things that really happens when you have total unity and you don't experience separation is that truly what's happening is first your heart opens. And the next thing that happens is that your mind connects with your heart and they work in unity. So there's absolutely no separation. Oftentimes we hear people kind of demonize the mind or the ego or something like that, but all of this is actually working together. Now, prior to our hearts opening, what's happening is that we're just functioning off the ego. And the ego is very much invested in the self. It's not invested in unity. It's not invested in universal consciousness or anything like that. It's very much just interested in its own survival efforts. So it doesn't really allow for true free will to happen. That only really happens when we connect with our hearts, because in our hearts is our true authentic self. It's our true being. And so when the mind connects with the heart or the heart connects with the mind, it happens simultaneously. When that happens, everything becomes very, very unified. We see basically like an infinite intelligence come on board, because we're no longer just working with the mind or the brain by itself. We're now working with a deeper consciousness, which is the heart. And it's all been one, but there's this separation that happens throughout our development. And so what happens now is basically a total unification of an intelligence that allows us to be in connection to all, which allows for these intuitive messages to come in, which allows for many of the things that people think are supernatural. It's actually very natural. It's nothing strange. We're actually in connection with everything. There's nothing that, leaves this universe forever. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's what's coming through. It's always here. So it doesn't matter what it is, it's just transitioned into another form. It never leaves us at all. So the message today has been very simplified. I woke up this morning with this message about the radio, and I think I will share that with you if I have some time or maybe at a separate video, but that one seemed very complex. As I sat down, suddenly I began to get a vision of a violinist, okay? So of an orchestra, and specifically like a violinist playing and the conductor being there in the front. And what I'm seeing is that the conductor is truly like the mind. It's the one that knows what needs to be done, the order, that sort of thing. The violinist is more of the artist. It's more of the one that goes deeper. It's the emotion. It's the beauty, the authenticity of the art of playing violin. So, but in order to have, a good show, to have a good performance, the conductor and the violinist have to be one. So the conductor has to connect with the violinist, and the violinist has to connect with the conductor. And they work together in a way that creates what is, performance. So that's what's coming through. That may bring some clarity to some of you. But if we separate the conductor from the violinist, the conductor itself can't really create the performance in itself without the violinist. Same as the violinist can't really create such a beautiful performance without the help of the conductor and what the conductor does. So it's just like the mind. The mind does have a function. The brain has a function. It knows things. It knows things that it's learned here on this earth, and it can categorize, it can organize, it can make goals, ideas. Even if we let the ego come into play with desires and all this survival type stuff, it allows the heart to also move forward. The heart in itself cannot really create its whole life just on its heart. If we just allow someone to just be in their intuition and not really connect with the mind, nothing really happens. What happens is just bliss. Nothing really gets done. So, in order for the completed product to happen, we need the mind and the heart in total alignment. So, we're talking really about alignment. You may have heard that word quite a bit now, and it really is just the mind and the heart together as one. Everything coming into balance. So, the conductor does have to be balanced. The violinist has to be balanced in what they're doing, and be in a connection that's harmonious between them two. The other thing that came through was basically like a captain on a ship. And so the captain on the ship is essentially like the mind, the brain. It's another metaphor for this. So the captain on the ship has all of the knowledge, knows the routes, knows what to do, has created this plan of, where they're going to go and all of these things. But as things begin to happen on the journey, if let's say a storm happens or they get off course or whatever, what is needed is the compass. And what the compass is symbolizing is the heart. If there is no compass, we lose our way. The captain loses its way and cannot find its way. So it has to work in connection with the compass. The whole thing has to be unified as one. So that's what's coming through. This is all about aligning the heart with the mind. It's all one. And when we do this, we amplify our being in a way that we can be truly authentic to who we are. But we're still working with the mind, the intelligence of the brain, to carry out that plan of the heart. We can't just work with the heart, and we can't just work with the brain. So that's what's coming through here. Now, what came through earlier about the radio station was essentially, we can think of radio stations as we used to think about them. If you can remember, I mean, I may be old to some of you, so a radio station with a radio dial, right? We have to kind of tune into that station. Let's say we're tuning into 104.1. We got to tune into that and be there. And that radio station is a local radio station here in this area, and it can only really be heard here, that specific station. And we have to tune into it, and that's it. So it's very limited to only certain radio stations for that local area, and then you have to tune to that specific station. So I saw that, and then the next thing that I saw was like wireless internet and the different radio stations, podcasts, the availability of many, many radio stations. I even saw just everything in the wireless network. Let's say that we connect to the internet. We're on a station where we can connect to any station now all over the world. We can connect to things that people have created anywhere in this world. Whereas when we're working with our local radio stations that you have to tune in on the dial and the old fashioned kind of radios that we used to have, we were only limited to those things that were locally known. When we expand into the wireless or the internet or however you want to see it, we expand to the intelligence that we could equate to universal intelligence or infinite intelligence. So the radio stations that were local, we can equate that to the mind. The mind really only knows what it's learned here on however many years you've been living here. So in the whole time that you've been experiencing this life, your brain has been making connections, it's been acquiring memories, it's been acquiring knowledge, and it only knows what it's been fed and what it's seen. But the intelligence of the heart is universal, it's infinite, it takes into account absolutely everything, which is why intuition is a real thing and why intuition can really lead us to things that sometimes we didn't know why our heart or something within us was telling us something, but we just knew that. And so the intelligence that's universal and infinite, it really is a wonderful thing, but it's also useful to connect it with the local stations as well to have everything. So it's not that one's better than the other, they're different. And it's first important to know the difference because so many people think that knowledge or just acquiring knowledge over and over again is all there is. But the heart connecting with that allows us to have a consciousness that is expanded. It's really a collective consciousness acquiring all of the intelligence that ever has been and things that you can't even imagine. So when we connect with that and we connect with our brain, we are aligned to all that is. And all of our sources, all of our networks are open. So now we can get communication, we can get knowledge, we can get information, we can get leads, we can get situations come to us, we can manifest things very easily, very quickly, very naturally, without a lot of work because we're connected, we're aligned with all the intelligence that is the intelligence of our brain, the mind, and the intelligence of the heart. So what's coming through today is that we are moving into this. Now, many people have not made this connection yet, but if you are watching this channel, you have made the connection. You are aware of this. And whether or not you're functioning in an aligned way, you're aware of it. And having these messages spoken to you to help you align will help you to align it more and more. And as you get the knowledge in your brain also about the intelligence of the heart, it allows for more opening of the heart because we're more receptive of it. Many people are very scared of the heart. They've been hurt. They think it has something to do with love. They think it has something to do with opening ourselves for problems. But opening our hearts is not a problem. It's actually where everything is. So we have to be very courageous and go into our heart and allow it to open. Yes, it can feel like we can get hurt. It can feel like we're sensitive. We're more sensitive to things. But as we become more sensitive to things, that's actually communication to us. The more sensitive you are to your environment, the more that you're going to get intuitive messages. When you're closed off from the heart and you're only functioning with the brain, you're very disconnected from the plants, the animals, the intuitive messages that come through, and spirit within. We have to be allowing our heart to have some sort of opening. And as we allow for that opening to have some openness and we trust the heart, it opens more and more and more and more to us. And we experience more of life and more alignment to who we truly are. And things become very easy. Those things that we need become, just attracted to us. Those situations come to us. Those people or whatever, we don't see them as separate. We see them as helpers, as part of this unified consciousness. Whereas before, when you're only working with the brain or the ego, you're seeing a lot of separation. You're seeing a lot of comparisons. You're seeing the others. Whereas when you're connected and aligned, everything that comes into your environment is for you, is helping you, is creating communication for you. Even let's say you have a negative interaction with someone, it's actually showing you something and you see it that way. You don't ever take offense to it because you see that it's showing you something that you need to see. So everything becomes literally one. And so all there is really love. And when we are in the brain and we're in the ego, we think that we have to be in a survival mode, that we have to acquire things, that we have to prove ourselves, that there is something that we have to get here on this earth. But when we're aligned to the heart, we're kind of just in this play mode. We go back to being children. We're very childlike. We become curious about life. We open all of our centers and allow things to just come to us. And they might be very different things. I never would have thought that I'd be doing what I do now or any of these things. But as you open your heart, those things that are more aligned to you, those things that are more of truth, become part of your reality. And you don't know what will happen, which is why a lot of people get scared and don't want to connect with their heart. There is an unknown factor to this, but as you begin to trust your heart, you begin to see the miracle of what it is to be aligned, the beauty of what it is to be aligned, how separation is really not real. It's a true illusion. Everything here on this earth is actually here for you. It's all communicating things to you. It's all allowing you to be more of you, even when it's kind of like difficult. It's showing you why it's difficult so you can make changes, so that you can align more to who you truly are. So everything that is happening to you is actually a gift here on this earth. So when we transition from just being only in our brain or mind into being aligned to our heart, we experience life very differently. We experience it without separation. And that can really truly be called bliss. Now, our hearts, a lot of times, we've also heard in different teachings and stuff. So, if you're just looking at this in an intellectual way, a lot of people demonize the ego or the brain, and they glorify the heart only. And what I'm saying is that it is all one. There is absolutely nothing here on this earth that is a problem. Everything here is actually exactly as it should be. And even when we see things going wrong, supposedly, it's in order for things to go right. They go out of order or go into chaos in order to later bring order. It's just the function of how things are. There's polarity here on earth. There's the negative and the positive. That's not to say it's bad or good. It's actually all neutral, which is why there's no separation. Many people are not seeing this, but we're slowly starting to acknowledge that this is happening. People are having experiences where their hearts are opening and aligning to their minds and having these experiences of really being one with all. So, if this message is resonating with you or you've had these experiences, give me a thumbs up, a heart, comment down below how that is for you. I would love to hear your experiences of it. If this message was useful to you, please share it with others. And just leave me a like or a comment. That actually gets the algorithm to share it more and more. So if you're new here, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you will subscribe and come back for our next message. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. My heart is so full with everything that is happening and all the connections that I have made through this channel and just by following and aligning to my heart. Thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next message. I love you all.